Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today we will unravel the story within That Hideous Strength by C.S. Lewis. That Hideous Strength, written by C.S. Lewis and published in 1945, is the final novel in his space trilogy. It combines elements of science fiction, dystopian philosophy, and Christian allegory to explore the battle between good and evil in a modern context. Set in post-war England, the story centers on the struggle against the manipulative and technocratic organization N.I.C.E., which seeks to control humanity through scientific experimentation and sinister means. Plot summary. The evening shadows crept over the small college town of Edgestowe as Jane Studdock wrestled with unease. Her dreams had been troubling of late, filled with eerie visions of a severed head and a dark, ancient force awakening. These dreams were more than mere phantoms of the mind. They seemed to whisper truths she was not yet prepared to understand. Her husband, Mark, oblivious to her internal strife, was caught in his own ambitions. A sociologist desperate to cement his place among the elites of Bracton College, Mark found himself drawn into the orbit of N.I.C.E., the National Institute for Coordinated Experiments, a shadowy organization promising unparalleled scientific progress. N.I.C.E. sought to purchase Bragton Wood, a hallowed grove steeped in legend and mystery, said to be the resting place of Merlin. For Jane, the wood held an indefinable menace, hinted at in her dreams. For Mark, it was an opportunity to ascend in his career. The progressive element within the college, spearheaded by men like Lord Feverstone, championed the sale as a boon for the community, but the truth of N.I.C.E.'s intent lay hidden beneath layers of deception. Mark's first steps into the world of N.I.C.E. were heady and disorienting. The organization exuded an air of power and purpose, its sprawling headquarters at Belbury a mix of modern efficiency and lurking dread. At its heart was John Wither, a deputy director whose polite, aimless speech cloaked an unsettling void. Mark, eager to please, was quickly ensnared in their schemes, even as he struggled to discern his role. Yet the deeper he delved, the clearer it became that N.I.C.E. was no ordinary institute. It sought not just scientific advancement but control over nature, society, and even the human spirit. Meanwhile, Jane's path diverged sharply from her husband's. A chance meeting with the Dimbles, an older couple once connected to her academic life, led her to St. Anne's-on-the-Hill. There she encountered Ransom, a man of quiet authority whose presence seemed to radiate both warmth and gravity. Jane's visions were no mere dreams, Ransom explained, but glimpses into a cosmic struggle. N.I.C.E. was not simply a corrupt institution, but a force aligned with malevolent powers seeking to sever humanity from divine grace. As Jane began to align herself with the community at St. Anne, Mark found himself entangled in the labyrinthine politics of N.I.C.E. His position, precarious at best, was built on the shifting sands of manipulation and fear. Steele, Kosser, and other members of the organization exhibited a chilling pragmatism, their goals couched in terms of progress, but driven by a desire for domination. Mark's attempts to rise within N.I.C.E. only exposed him further to its sinister core, epitomized by its experiments on the human mind and the macabre reanimation of Alcasson's severed head. This ghastly relic became the mouthpiece for an extraterrestrial intelligence, agents of a dark force that sought to reforge humanity in its image. At St. Anne, Jane found solace and purpose. Ransom's followers, practical Miss Ironwood, gentle Mother Dimble, and the enigmatic Mr. McPhee embodied a harmonious blend of intellect and faith. The community prepared for the battle ahead, their hope rooted not in might, but in their alignment with divine will. Jane, once skeptical, began to understand her role as vital, her dreams a key to unraveling N.I.C.E.'s plans. Mark, meanwhile, teetered on the brink of moral collapse. He was tasked with creating propaganda to mask N.I.C.E.'s atrocities, his soul eroded by the insidious demands of the organization. When he balked at their darker projects, his loyalty was questioned, and he became the target of psychological manipulation. It was not idealism, but fear that drove him to recognize the depths of the pit into which he had fallen. The tension between the forces of Belbury and St. Anne reached a crescendo with the resurrection of Merlin. N.I.C.E. believed the wizard would serve their agenda, but the ancient figure, awakened from his slumber, proved impervious to their control. Merlin's allegiance lay with Ransom and the higher order he served. His arrival at St. Anne's solidified their cause, his presence both a reminder of Britain's spiritual heritage and a herald of judgment. As Merlin infiltrated N.I.C.E., chaos began to unravel the organization from within. The power-hungry leaders, blinded by hubris, succumbed to infighting, their grand designs collapsing under the weight of their moral corruption. The severed head, the symbol of their alliance with infernal powers, became their undoing as Merlin wielded its influence to sow discord. At St. Anne, Mark sought redemption. Escaping from N.I.C.E., he arrived battered and repentant, his journey a humbling one. Jane, transformed by her own trials, welcomed him with a newfound strength and grace. Together, they looked to rebuild their marriage on a foundation of mutual respect and shared purpose. In the end, N.I.C.E. was dismantled not by direct confrontation, but by its own internal rot, hastened by the interventions of Merlin and the forces of St. Anne's. The triumph was not merely the defeat of evil, but the restoration of harmony, a reaffirmation that the natural and spiritual order, when aligned with divine will, could withstand even the most insidious corruption. That's it for today, but if you're craving more, dive into the rest of Space Trilogy series by C.S. Lewis. The details are in the description, or just search on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in C.S. Lewis's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.